Usually it's a couple hours ahead, but now it's a couple hours behind. So I was like, oh my goodness, or not hours, minutes. I mean, anyway,
So you've
it's
been
all good.
changing time, John.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like having a structure, and then the structure shifts and changes, and I like it. I don't know. I like my clocks like two, like that one specific clock. I like to have it 2 minutes ahead. I mean, okay, we're live. We're live. Well, welcome everyone. This is the Coaching and Flourish podcast. I am your host, John Andrew Williams, together with our host, Raj Anderson. Welcome everyone to the Coaching and Flourish. Happy Tuesday, happy January, happy 2022.
Yes, hi everyone, welcome. And as usual, we've got some really great questions, John. So are you ready for me
Let's
to
jump
fire a
in.
question at you?
Please, let's jump in.
Okay, I'm super excited by this one. So the question for you, John, is what are the benefits of coaching to build successful leaders?
Brings me back to a leadership program I took back in 2007 with Laura Whitworth. And I was just doing some reading about this book here, The Source Book of Coaching History by Vicky Brock. This is a tome. It's a wealth of information. In it, I was reading about Laura Whitworth and how in the early 90s when she was with Thomas Leonard, when they were somewhat competing and collaborating and developing their own coach trainings, beginning of the ICF coming together. And Laura was my leadership leader. So I took a leadership program from Laura Whitworth in 2007. And in it, the main idea is this idea of a bigger game where you choose the change you want to create in the world. And for me, it was revolutionize education, was to bring life coaching to education. Like, what if every teacher were a trained life coach? That's the vision, right? I knew it changed my life as a teacher. That's what I'm after. When you state that as your goal, the quality of your goal determines the quality of the leader you become. So the question then becomes, what's required of me? How can I be an instrument to achieve that end? And if I'm being selfless about it, how can I bring other people or enroll other people along with the same mission? It's not necessarily even me who has to do this change. What if I spark or inspire the change? That's enough. As long as the change gets done, that's the bigger game. And so that to me is the definition of leadership. It's having a vision of something and then working towards that vision and bringing yourself along with it. And Laura would often say the quality of who you become as a leader is determined by the quality of the goal you choose to accomplish. So it's a very what's the goal? Let's gather the resources, which is the opposite of our traditional education system, which is we're going to give you all the resources for any goal that you have out there. Only once you get further down the track in master's or doctoral programs do you finally get, okay, this is the target that we're trying to help you hit. A vocational school like Training EDU is a vocational school. This is the target you're trying to hit. There are different education philosophies, and I might get some emails from educators saying, knocking on the door, wishing to speak to me about that comment. But it's an interesting idea of flipping the switch. Okay, so that's my take on leadership. How coaching helps is I think it helps people stay in curiosity around who am I, and it's like self curiosity, and that's a really powerful tool to start questioning assumptions, to really put yourself in a growth mindset. And it's scary. And I mean, all the tools of coaching, I think, help people develop professionally and personally. To me, they're life skills. So it just helps you become a better person, and that helps fulfill your goal. And it also helps you work more collaboratively with people and empathetically with people, and to really see people. All of those things I feel like make a difference in accomplishing that larger vision.
What words of wisdom would you have to organizations who want to invest in coaching for their leaders?
I think they don't have to start big, but start with a proof of concept. I wouldn't jump in, just we're going to jump in, everyone does, this is the new thing, all of that. No, just You can be strategic about it. Start with a proof of concept, like any other business idea, and then really test it out. Like I wouldn't just buy it just because that's the cool thing and every cool kid's doing it right now, but try it and really look at a problem that would really truly make a difference if people were in this space. Make a small investment in coaching and see what happens.
And I heard you say, about and teachers training to be life coaches. I think actually all leaders should train in life coaching skills as well.
Right.
Are you seeing more and more of that happening, or what do you see?
It was super inspiring reading some of this, some of the language from the first couple meetings of people getting together to be coaches. I just want to read. There's this. Hold on. This is back in 1993. There's a mission statement here, and okay. I just want to read this. This is on page 303 of the source book of Coaching History by Vicki Brock. Right. And this came from the conference notice described the theme. This is back, I think, in 1997. What is it? The Professional Coaching Society Being in Action is the name of the organization. This preceded the development of the ICF, or was going along parallel lines, and then I think got absorbed into the ICF. Here's the theme. Coaching will be a universal language for all people, acting as a catalyst to ignite their lives in the direction of personal, cultural, and hence global fulfillment. Different people and professions all vary in desire and purpose. Woven together, they create the ever-evolving story of humanity. Life is a tapestry. The possibility for coaching is that it becomes an integral thread in the daily routine of all walks of life. Imagine the vibrancy of this global tapestry with the many textures and hues are joined together with a common thread of coaching. A work of art begins with a dream and then a simple action, the thread. Come create this tapestry, the future of coaching and the world. What? 1997, or what is going on? It's like this is what the world needs, and we're part of it, and I see it. I try to live it, and it's a tough thing to try to to really integrate into your life, because I feel like you raise expectations of, okay, I need to be this amazing communicator. I need to have all these relationships be in a certain space, and coaching skills do help that. And it feels like there's this internal pressure, but there's also this external yes. And the world is yearning for it. And that's what drew me to the profession, was my own experience of it, thinking, yeah, this is the conversation that I've been yearning to have. Why did it take so long for me to have these conversations? And now I get to facilitate them. And we're changing the world conversation at a time.
That's such a powerful visual. Thanks for reading that out, John. Do you have anything else you want to add, or you?
I'm good. I feel it's a wow to me to see that in 1997. Here we are. What are we at? 20 some years later. Not yet, but is it? I mean, math did not. With little ones, sometimes the math brain's like super on it, and other times it's like, yeah, that's silly. Wait, 25 years, something like that. But yeah, I mean, that's 25 years ago. And I feel like it's almost more apt now than it was even then. And that's how I see coaching. And I even forget what the original question was, but
I think you answered it. Thanks, John. And I think you're going to love this next question then. So moving on to the next question. How does defining problems generate solutions?
Is this from Britt?
I think so, yes.
I think it's from Britt. She's a researcher, head writer. We've spent a lot of time looking at these. This is Britt's original idea to bring to the table from some of the research that she's done in positive psychology. So Britt and I, we put in a lot of work on in the last 2 years to just look at what's the latest in the research. Let's do this and let's add footnotes back into, let's make this even more robust than it was before. And I think now some of the textbooks have like 200, 300 some footnotes, and we've had participants go through and audit every single one of them. And I feel really proud of the work that we've done. This idea came from Britt in this, I think it was Einstein, or there was something, I think it comes from physics, where the idea is, it might have been a quote from Einstein that speaks directly to this. If you define it's a lot like the bigger game, the quality of how you define the problem will have a direct impact on the quality of your answer. And so many people spend time trying to find the answer, but they might miss, we're finding the answer to the wrong question. So what if we split those two things out? And what if we spend time thinking, okay, how can I define the question of my life? So maybe the question isn't, how can I be happy, for instance? It's, how can I find meaning? And let's say you shift that. So let's say I've spent the day asking myself, how can I be happy? How can I be happy? I get very different answers. And the answers might be correct. They might be very extremely accurate, but they're still answering a question that might not be that useful. So when you start to look at, okay, how am I really truly defining this problem? It gives you an opportunity to change that focus and look at something, and start to define things a little bit differently. And it helps you look very specifically at this, I need to test this. So if it's not working here, maybe I can put that thing over there, and now you have there's a science experiment. You have a hypothesis. You can start to play with, what question am I really trying to answer? So it's not like you have to have all this pressure to get the very best right problem to solve, but it's at least bringing awareness to it and testing things out. That's the thinking behind that concept.
How does this fit into coaching? I mean, it was making me think about a presenting agenda and a deeper agenda. But... Exactly.
Yep, that's exactly it. And it's yeah. Do you want to go for it? So Raj, from your standpoint, how would you describe the difference between a surface and deeper agenda?
Well, as I was thinking about this, when we're training coaches, we often have a look at this, don't we? And we say, somebody might be coming in thinking it's, time management, for example, that is the problem as such. Mm-hmm. But when you actually remain curious and you start to dig beneath what is beneath that. I mean, I've been in coaching sessions before now, and it wasn't about time management at all. It was about the individual. We're kind of halfway through the exploration and the person has a light bulb. Actually, this is about my self-worth. This is about how I view myself and my identity, or what I thought I would have achieved by now, and hence that relationship or pressure with time. I also have to throw this in because this just made me think of a Jack Sparrow quote for anyone who's seen Pirates of the Caribbean. And Jack Sparrow says, the problem is not the problem is your attitude to the problem. I wish I could say it how he says it. Which makes me think of mindset as well. Yeah, and all the tools that we use in coaching, sometimes we discover the deeper agenda, and it might be that we'll use a reframe tool. And it's not actually anything to do with what the individual initially thought. And that's why I love this, the digging deeper piece. And sometimes we just have no idea what we think the problem is, but what it actually means to us is something completely different.
I feel like this is one of those things that why I love coaching. Is I really love listening. I love having the permission that I can sit, I can listen and know that that's enough. And I feel like when that happens, our natural human curiosity, it gets curious. It's you just can. Yeah, our curiosity engines are currently churning. That's a production line that does not stop. That keeps going, but oftentimes we don't listen to it, or we don't allow ourselves to use it empathetically. feel like these passages, this idea of listening empathetically and like just listening to you describe it, like is like, this is why I love this profession, and why I think it really is. This is something that has the opportunity to change the way that human beings relate to each other.
And it's powerful for leaders, isn't it? From that first question of how is this beneficial for leaders? And, I run a women in leadership program last year. We're going to be running another one this year. And one of the things we really look at is how do you shift from doing leadership to actually being a leader, and all of those components around emotional intelligence and understanding yourself, that self-awareness, moving to self-regulation, all of those pieces that sometimes they're there, but we don't always go that deep in leadership development programs. Whereas in coaching, we have that opportunity, don't we, to explore further. Which leads me to our next question, John.
Okay.
Are you good if I go for it?
Let's do it.
So why is self-awareness important in goal setting?
Yeah, that's a good one. I was listening to a book. Maybe we might make references. I know what I want to try to do, Raj. I know my growth edge in this podcast is to bring more of the actual book to the table, because I want to do this more. I was listening to another book. I will remember the author's name, but basically it's applying lessons of computing and creating different algorithms to the human brain, like our own decision making. And one of the most famous ones, the first major example was the idea of, if you had to hire a new employee, how much time should you spend trying to figure out the qualifications for it versus interviewing people? And the answer is 43%. You should spend time on looking at the qualifications of this, and then the other percentage of the time spent on actually doing the interviews. And I think he had an example in there too of someone who was into this kind of a statistics and did some sort of qualitative analysis on his life, like when he should find his life partner, and he followed it through like by the year, and it worked out. It was like, whatever. So it's a funny thing. Anyway, so in this, all to say that I feel like investing in self-awareness is sort of like investing in what are the qualifications of what exactly I'm looking for. It's not like I'm actually going to try them yet, or I'm going to try on specific things, but I'm going to first sit and just check in with what is first. And that's investing in that 43%. I feel like that might be high in terms of, if you're, but it's an interesting question. Like what percentage of time do you really want to spend to self-awareness in the idea of goal setting, and, or versus how much time, for example, do you want to spend on creating a structure to follow through on that goal? And so what's percentage of the time do you want to spend on awareness of the goal versus the actual development of the structure of the goal? I don't think there's any one answer, but I think the important thing is to ask the question so that you have to at least think of an answer. And that's a lot of the value of coaching, is let's just ask the question, even though we don't have a specific answer we're looking for, but just the asking of the question is useful. So I think that's the whole beauty of self-awareness type questions anyway, is simple, when you ask someone something and they become aware of something they may not have thought consciously of for a couple of weeks, and then that sparks an insight that changes the goal. That's huge. That's value.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes there can be a huge disconnect for people, the goals that they're setting. Think about goals that I used to set for myself were expectations of where I should be in life as a woman, as an Indian woman, culturally, goals that my family may have thought I should have been setting, or society thought. Or I was coaching somebody last week on comparison, and this person was really talking about, well, this is where my peers are at, and that's why I want to set these goals. So we really had to move into those self-awareness questions around, well, what would make these goals fulfilling for you? Or what are your own goals? Are these your goals? Are these goals you think that you should be setting for yourself?
Yeah, those are big questions. Big questions.
So how should we wrap this up? What 3 tips do you have for us, John? on
Let's do my biggest insight in this time and your biggest insight in this time. Do you want to go first? Your biggest insight?
Well, I'm just trying to take in all how well read you are as well, John. And thank you for all the tips that you're giving. And I think I was blown away with was like page 303 that you read from the book. And I think my biggest, and not insight necessarily, but I think my most fulfilling moment on our live today was listening to you talk about that bit from the book around coaching being like a universal language. I'm really taking that away with me. I'm going to reflect on that some more.
Yeah, I thank you, Raj. I would love to be more well read. I feel like I have a stack. I have a big stack. My goodness, it's been a lot. Last 2 years have been a lot of research. Just a lot in there in that space. I am very thankful to have this opportunity just to go do my thing and have all these ideas and be able to say them out loud. And I'm really thankful for you, Raj, setting this space for it and just letting me go and do that thing. I really do feel like the quality of everyone's listening does have an impact on the quality of the speaker. And that's just saying that out loud. And you think about Laura and like the ideas of the bigger game and how central they are to my ideas of leadership and really the development of Coach Training EDU. Because at the time when I developed this, there wasn't anything happening in the academic space. It was all coaching was very much oriented towards adults, and coaching still does. I mean, that is the engine, but I mean, education space truly needs this, and I mean, it's just so inspiring. So it's what does the mission require of me is a question I've asked myself maybe 1,000 times, and I feel like that's a very helpful guidepost. Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Ashley, in the background setting this up, and thank you, everyone. Give you a big virtual hug. This is the Coaching the Flourish podcast. I'm your host, John, and here with Raj. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I'm going off super excited and inspired. Thanks, John. We'll see you all soon.